This is the T-34, a tank that became the very symbol of Soviet resistance, industrial power, and ultimate triumph against fascism. But here's the twist. Back in 1941, this wasn't the tank the Red Army wanted. In fact, if Hitler hadn't invaded the Soviet Union that summer, the T-34 we know today might never have existed at all. When the Germans launched Operation Barbarossa, the Soviets rolled out the T-34, not because it was perfect, but because it was ready. It had advantages: sloped armor, a powerful gun, and surprising speed. But it also had big problems. The two-man turret overworked the commander, forcing him to command and fire the main gun. Inside, the space was cramped and visibility was poor. The Christie suspension was already outdated, and the gearbox was notoriously unreliable, often breaking under stress. From the start, Soviet engineers were already planning improvements. But war doesn't wait, so the T-34 rolled off the lines, flawed but available. One of its greatest strengths was its heart, the Kharkiv V-2 diesel engine. At 500 horsepower, it gave the T-34 both speed and reliability. It was so effective that it powered heavy tanks and self-propelled guns for years. But its designer, Konstantin Chelpan, never lived to see the T-34's success. A victim of Stalin's purges, he was executed as a spy. His work endured, even if he did not. Then came Mikhail Koshkin, the man remembered as the father of the T-34. Tasked with replacing the Soviet BT tanks that had failed against German armor in Spain, he designed the A-34, prototype of the T-34, with its now iconic sloped armor. To prove it could handle the toughest conditions, he drove two prototypes over 450 miles in freezing winter to and from Moscow. The tanks survived. Koshkin didn't. He contracted pneumonia during the journey and died before seeing his creation go to war. The Soviets actually wanted something better, the T-34M. With torsion bar suspension, a bigger three-man turret, and more fuel capacity, it was a superior design, partly inspired by the German Panzer III, which the Soviets had secretly purchased before the war. In 1941, the T-34M was approved for mass production, but when Germany invaded in June, plans changed overnight. The T-34M was scrapped. The Red Army had no choice but to mass produce the imperfect T-34 instead. The Germans were stunned when they first encountered the T-34. Its armor shrugged off their anti-tank guns, and its 76mm gun easily pierced their Panzer III and IV tanks. Even German generals admitted the T-34 is the finest tank in the world. But the Soviets couldn't just rely on quality. They needed numbers. Factories were dismantled, shipped east beyond the Urals, and rebuilt. The order was simple: produce more, faster, cheaper. By 1942, annual T-34 production had quadrupled. Welding was rough, crew comfort was miserable, but the tanks worked. Quantity became a weapon in itself. Stalin's philosophy was simple: quantity has a quality all its own. By 1943, the T-34 was showing its age. German Panthers and Tigers outgunned it, forcing the Soviets to rush and upgrade. The T-43 prototype introduced torsion suspension, better armor, and a 3-man turret, but stopping T-34 production to build a brand new tank was impossible, so engineers compromised. They took the T-43's turret, mounted an 85mm gun inside, and placed it on the T-34 hull. The result was the legendary T-34-85. Finally, Soviet tank crews had a proper 3-man turret, improved firepower, and a fighting chance against Tigers and Panthers. By mid-1944, it was the backbone of the Red Army. The T-34 was never the tank the Soviets truly wanted, but it became the tank they desperately needed. Born from compromise, rushed into service, and produced in the tens of thousands, it turned into one of the most decisive weapons of the Second World War. Crude, yes. Imperfect, absolutely. But effective enough to help push the Wehrmacht all the way back to Berlin. The T-34 proved that sometimes history isn't shaped by perfection, but by pragmatism, numbers, and sheer willpower.